Hello.
Good
What?
evening.
Look at us two grinning like Cheshire cats. Why is that, do you think, Dave?
Well, it's a special night with just a guy you may have heard of who's going to be on with us.
We've just been talking. We nearly missed the start of the broadcast at 7 o'clock. Hello, welcome to Latics Football Phone. By the way, let's do it properly. But we were just chatting away to our guest there, and I just noticed in the top right hand corner that the start of the stream was about to come on us. So we had to stop the conversation sharpish and get on with this. So I'm gonna do the introduction. So although our guest this week requires no introduction to Oldham Athletic fans, he deserves one befitting of his regal moniker. We're talking to a man who pulled on the famous white or red jersey of England 6 times, scoring twice in a distinguished career. He played over 470 first team matches, scoring 152 professional goals. Most famously, he played for Manchester City and Everton, where he netted 102 times for the Toffee Men. And he went on to manage the club, winning their last trophy, the FA Cup, in 1995, and was named an Everton Giant in 2004 in recognition of his achievements as both a player and a manager. He also managed Man City, where he achieved 2 promotions, and Ipswich Town, where his side twice made the playoffs. But, of course, it's with our own club that he rose to prominence as a manager and drew the eyes of the footballing world to this little corner of Lancashire. Taking his first job in football management at Oldham in 1982, he went on to orchestrate the greatest moments of football that fans in this town have ever seen. 2 FA Cup semi-finals, a League Cup final, the second division title, Premier League football, the Great Escape, some of the most exhilarating football this commentator has ever witnessed, was played by the men that this man moulded into one of the most exciting teams of the late 80s and early 90s. This man will forever be a giant of football at Oldham too, where a stand at Boundary Park rightly bears his name. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great honour to introduce to you the one and only Joe Royle. Here he is. Hello, Joe. Welcome to the Latics Football Phone-In.
Yeah, thank you, guys, for the big build-up as well. By the way, it was 3 goals for England, but Dennis Stewart stole one of them when the ball was at the
Said like a typical striker. Absolutely. Yeah. Like I just said there in the build up there, Joe, we were just chatting to you then, and before I knew it, it was we was like, whoa, hang on a minute, we've got
like a minute left before we go on air.
Yeah.
You get lost in it. It's just brilliant to have you on. So thank you.
I still look for Latics Score every week. I've got 2 sons who have season tickets there, taking their grandsons to bring them up properly. Both live still in Delft and one in Ripponden. And, they're still very much in my mind every match day. And it's wonderful to see what's happening in the moment.
Yeah, it's been a real turnaround.
Well, it was a bit of a roller coaster season. I was very confident when Keith Curle was appointed manager towards the end of last season, but it just didn't seem to work. Then, obviously, he parted company with us following the Northampton defeat, and Salim Benacho took over as interim. But then, lo and behold, the Lord Sheridan, he's not king, he's not royal like you, Joe, by any means, but he's come in and turned our fortunes right around. What have you made of it?
Well, touch wood, everything's going a lot better. I saw the Ipswich game close up, and I was worried because we neither had a clean sheet in us or a threat on goal. And funnily enough, I think it changed with the 5-5 draw against the leaders of the league there, and I'm thinking to myself, well, if you can score 5 goals against the best side in the division, surely you can save 1 or 2 for the coming games. But Shez is a good operator. He's been around the divisions. He knows the league. I've got to be honest and say that I'm never totally sure about second time around. I came back for 8 games, but it was only ever going to be 8 games. But I saw Howard Kendall, my great friend, go back to Everton twice as a manager at different times. And somehow or other, it's not the same. And and particularly what we'd achieved first time around, it was always going to be hard second time around.
Well, I think what's this 6 times now for Shez, is it? He did the second time round was ages ago, but it seems to me that Shez is just one of these characters that just loves the challenge. He loves a fight. He backs against the wall. He's when he comes into his own, and it's kind of made for him, isn't it?
Well, my boys tell me that they say all of a sudden we look very organised, and that's a big thing in football. The great Arsenal side had a back four that just wouldn't let goals in, and that's a start. If you can stop the goals going in, it's very important. Your centre halves, your spine of the team, and they're telling me, both my sons who live over there, that's what's happened. They are organised. So well done, Shez, and long may it happen. Long may it rain. Anyway.
Are you referring to the Arsenal team that your team put 3 past at Boundary Park, or?
Well, that we were just on the turn then, but we did.
Yeah.
And George Graham afterwards, I think the phrase is damned with faint praise. He said that he was very disappointed in his team and he expected a much better performance. He might have mentioned that we played very well, which we did on the day, but he didn't.
Yeah, well,
I think it's time for some callers.
Yeah,
because we've had them waiting. And if you do want to get in touch, please email us at laticsfootballphoning@gmail.com, and we'll definitely get you on to speak with Joe. He's up for answering questions very kindly of him. So we're going to bring in Chris Stringer. Joe, who's added to the stream now. Chris.
Good evening, Joe.
No problem.
Good evening, lad.
Hi, Jay, Chris.
Yeah, good evening. Hey, first and foremost, what a pleasure to see Sergio Royle on our podcast. I mean, this is fantastic for me. But, hey, first thing, before I've got some questions for you. I've got some questions, but my first thing is I want to say thank you. Thank you very much for 1990, especially 91, through to 94, but forget the relegation, but thank you very much, mate. You're a legend. In our house, we live in France, you're a legend, mate. You are a legend. My daughter spent her first birthday party with you. There's a photo of you, Sergio.
Yeah.
With you. God. That was in 1990, January 1990. 1991, Joe. Sorry, I apologise. Well, listen, seriously, I've got a few things to ask you, Joe, if it's okay, if you don't mind me posing a few questions to somebody so Royle in our house. Royle with a L-E.
Can I just ask Matt and Dave, there's an awful lot of crackle on this line. It's hard to hear him, to be honest with you. We couldn't hear Chris at times. It's crackling a lot.
Right.
I will try and speak slowly.
I think I'm not too sure what's going on with it because I can hear the crackling at this end, but I'm able to hear quite clearly, Chris. So,
do you have any headphones, Joe, that you can plug into your machine or anything like that at all?
Hang on, I'll have to get my...
It might be me being excited. I might be doing it just for you. Sorry.
Well, ask your question, Chris, and see how we get on.
Right, Joe. All right. Firstly, yeah, you came to us, yeah, as an unknown manager, an unknown entity. You built a team which were called Yard Dogs, which were misfits. Your best player, or the most record player, the most you spent was on 460,000 on Richard Jobson. You built a team that went to the old First Division, the now Premier League. You built that team from nothing, Joe. Yeah. Do you think that will ever happen again in our lifetime for a man such as yourself for £460,000 to build a team that will get to the Premier League?
Well, it wasn't just a jobbo. I mean, it was sort of one step forward and 2 steps back all the time. We were talking about this before, that, I was given the job initially. Mr. Royle, you've never managed before. We're taking a big chance. We're going to offer you a 1-year contract at £15,000 a year. And by the way, we've got to sell someone quickly because we're skint. And that was mandate as a 32-year-old manager. So, the first season we did okay. We did okay because there was the base of a good side left with young McDonough, John Ryan, Roger Wilde, a good goal scorer. But, you know, we had to sell Atkinson. We had to sell Ryan. You know, we had to sell Futcher. And then it was right back the next season. We stayed up by the skin of our teeth. But from then on afterwards, it was a slow build. You know, it didn't come overnight. And Richard Jobson, by the way, came because poor old Andy Holden, who was terrific, but unfortunately, yes. Andy accident prone. You know, and we signed Jobson. We had the money from the cup to go and sign Jobbo, and Jobbo was elegant. Jobbo really was on the verge of the England squad at the time. You know, I know that for a fact. And he's a gentleman, now works for the PFA. But, you know, when we changed centre-halves did well for us. Paul Jones came in for £10,000 over a Christmas, and he held the hand, if you like, of Andy Linnigan, who was 6'3", lightning quick, good on the ball. And unfortunately, again, we paid 40,000 for him and sold him for 400. So, you know, it was give and take all the time. Listen, I'm not looking. This is not looking for praise, but the 12 years I was there, we made a profit every year, a transfer profit, because we had to, and that was in the original deal that I signed there. You know, there would be players that we would have to sell, but Jobbo was terrific. I mean, I took him to City later on, even though he had a really bad ankle. You know, and he still never let us down. You know, a top guy.
Can I just say, Joe? Can I just say that's one thing I will. I was only a young man when I followed you as a Latics fan. Going back to the early 90s, I was 25, 26. I was a young man, but I did recognise, and I realised even then that you were very astute with your signings. For example, as you rightly say, Richard Jobson came in at 450, 460. You sold him, or he went to City for $1 million. You had Ricky Holden, who went to City. You fantastically, you brought in Neil Poynton and Stevie Redfern. I mean, what a coup that was. I mean, at the time, that was fantastic to bring in those two fullbacks from Manchester City. And also, the year after, Ricky Holden come back to us. So every egg a bird. You were fantastic, Joe. You were like the eagle that gave everything to us. Can I just say one thing, Joe? Can I just say one criticism about the Ricky Holden selling? I spent all summer.
I can barely hear you, Chris. It's just crackle.
I'll try and say it very slowly. When you sold Ricky Holden to City, yeah, well, not you personally. When Ricky Holden went to City, all the summer I spent teaching my daughter the song for Ricky Holden on the wing all summer. And the night before the season started, he went to City. I was devastated, mate. Me and my daughter, we were devastated. However, he came back. My daughter, my family, we love him. Sorry, Joe, go on. Sorry, Joe.
But he wanted to go. He wanted the chance. I was speaking with Rick this morning. You know, I'm still in touch with Rick regularly, you know, and he still has this wonderful blend of borderline genius and borderline insane. You know, he was always very different, if you like. But what a winger. Still probably the best crosser of a ball that I've seen.
Yeah. And absolutely. I watched your little talk with Matt and Dave before you came on. And one thing I will remind you of, Joe, if you don't remember, you were talking about we could play on grass as well. That was one of our songs, yeah? The biggest turnaround I ever saw was Portsmouth away. We stuffed them 4-1 after the programme note said that Joe Royle and his team can only play on plastic, and we stuffed them 4-1 at Fratton Park. Good on you, Sir Joe. You're a legend in Oldham, you're a legend in France, and wherever you are, you're a legend, my friend.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Here, Chris.
Thanks, I love you, mate. I love you, and we always love you, mate. You take care, fella. Hey, our glass, and my wife's glass as well. Sir Joe Royle. Joe Royle, we love you.
Sir Joe Royle.
Sir Joe Royle.
Yeah.
We all.
Thanks, Chris.
Hey, what are you drinking? Get over here, mate. Get over here. Pleasure. Quick one. Are we going to win tomorrow, Joe? Joe, are we going to win tomorrow?
I think he's frozen. I think the issue might be on at that end there.
Is that better, Joe?
Hey, Sir Joe, are we going to win tomorrow? Are we going to beat Colchester?
Sorry, say again, mate.
Are we going to beat Colchester tomorrow?
I hope so, because they've got the 3 C's coming up, haven't they? After that, is it? Who have they got it down? Just noticed last week the
Crawley.
next 3
Carlisle,
Crawley,
Colchester.
Carlisle, Colchester, the 3 C's. It's tough, but in their current form, you'd take a point, wouldn't you? You know, you'll always take a point and try and make it up elsewhere, but you never know. They seem to have a renewed confidence, and they certainly look a different side than the side I saw against Ipswich that night.
Well, hey, speaking of Ipswich, thank you for Ipswich away. How were there, mate? How were the fantastic? What a day that was. Ipswich away. What a day. Getting in, bring it on. I tell you what, Joe, I followed you over land. I followed you more miles than I followed my wife. And I tell you what, it was worth it, mate. It was worth it. I even had to swap my car. When we went to the Premier League, I went from a Poxy Vauxhall to a BMW. I followed you even in I went up in stature. I love you. Joe Royle, Blue White Army.
Cheers, Chris. Thank you.
Cheers, Chris.
Love you, lads. Love you, Joe. Take care of
See you soon, Chris, mate.
Bye-bye. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
There we go.
Right, so I think we're going
to. Honestly, that was worse than our direct line now.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's just try. We'll just bring in Paul, and we'll see how that goes. But I think Chris might have been a bit too loud and a bit overexcited. So we'll just see what the script is.
Do you think?
I think so.
Well, okay. Here's Paul. Hi, Paul. Can you hear us?
Hi, mate. I can hear you. Only just, but I can hear you.
Hello, Paul.
Can you hear Joe?
Hiya, Joe.
Hello there. Hi, Paul. We can hear you, but not see you.
Is that better for you, Joe? That end, are you receiving it better?
I just heard hi, Joe. That was all.
Okay. Paul, can you ask your question and see if we can hear you?
Yeah. Hi, Joe. Just want to obviously thank you, like Chris did, for a brilliant teenage years of growing up around Liverpool, Everton fans, Manchester United fans, and being one of the only Oldham fans. It was absolutely fantastic what you did to most of them teams and our brilliant side at the time.
You know, the most important thing in football is recruitment. And along with Jim Cassell or Jim Castle, you know, we decided very early on that we were going to saturate our scouting with the 2 Manchester clubs, the 2 Liverpool clubs, and Leeds United, who were only just up the road. And it got to the stage really when we knew as much about their young reserves as any of them knew, you know, and that's probably how we picked away at Leeds, you know, with the likes of Dennis Irwin, Andy Linnigan, Andy Ritchie, and of course Warhurst and Barrett from Manchester City, and Marshall and Adams from Everton. So we knew our market and we worked within that. But the other thing was, in those days, we could take a player, say, from Everton reserves and give him maybe a £10 or £15 rise and afford to do it. These days, it's very difficult. It's a totally different market that Shez will have to work in, you know, because he won't be able to give any of the Premier League reserves a rise if he wants to take them. But we knew our market and we worked hard on our scouting.
It's funny just hear you say things like £10 or £15 rise in football terms. Just sounds completely alien. It doesn't, you know. The jump is ridiculous. Yeah.
But you know, we also offered first team football and probably usually a signing on fee, a small signing on fee, you know. But it was, and that's what makes it harder now for any club who's outside of the Premier League to get into the Premier League unless they're one of the big clubs. And you have these yo-yo clubs like Norwich are up and down and Derby County are up and down, and you know, and that's because they're still big clubs, but you know, they can't get the players that they need to survive at that level.
Do you think some clubs now, Joel? Do you think some clubs now, Joel, just to go up and down for the sake of these parachute payments, and make it to their advantage, because Norwich have done that for a few years, haven't they?
Well, yes, but I don't think that they go up just for that. You know, they want to stay there, but unfortunately, their recruitment hasn't been what it might have been to stay there. You know, Brentford are a good example, really, even though they could still drop into the bottom three at this stage. But Brentford have always been very cute about their signings. You know, they have a whole room of analysts looking at players all over Europe all the time, and they've certainly plundered the foreign markets very, very well there at Brentford. But even then, it's still hard. You know, they're still nearer the bottom than nearer the top, and the big clubs should survive. Although my old club Everton at the moment, they're only on the fringe of it because their recruitment hasn't been up to scratch.
Joe, you took over in 1982, and obviously it was a good few years until you started to see the fruits of your labour, if you like, in terms of, you know, obviously finishing third, 86, 87, and then having a couple of seasons more in the second division. But obviously nowadays managers are turned over very, very quickly. Is that part of it as well, do you think? I mean, do you really need time to build a project like that you were given?
I don't think managers get now, you know, particularly looking again locally at Everton, they've seemed to be, I think they've had 6 managers in the last 6 years or something incredibly impossible like that. But equally, sometimes if it's not working, the sooner you make the change, the better.
Is that Paul? Are you still on the line?
I am, mate. It's just crackling bad. Can you guys?
Yeah, no, I can hear the crackling. It seems to be getting worse. Not quite sure. I'm just going to remove you from the stream just to see if that makes a difference, Paul. Just bear with us. That seems to have quieted down a bit. It seems to have, there was a lot.
I think it's headphones, isn't it? I think that's it. People should try and wear headphones if you're coming on with Joe. If you've got any headphones, Paul, if you could put them on, that'd be great. That's fine.
Or if you were wearing headphones, sometimes the microphone bit kind of rubs,
tap. But yeah,
taps.
I think that's what the issue is.
So just have a check of that, Paul, and we'll just bring Stu in to have a chat with Joe, because it certainly seems to have quietened down now since the crackle. Yeah.
Sorry about this.
Crackling. My mum does tremendous crackling when she does roast pork, by the way. It's very, very good. Hello, Stu. Wait, Stu. Roast pork, Stu. We've got an old cookery program all of a sudden.
Are you there, Stu?
No, we can't hear Stu. So we'll stay on there, Stu. We'll try you again in a minute. We'll bring Sam in.
Sam.
It's going well, this.
Evening all.
Evening. Oh, that sounds nice and clear.
Is that better, Joe, from your end?
We've got vision anyway, if not a...
Hi, Joe. Can you hear me okay?
Away you go.
Good. Joe.
It's crackling.
Still crackling, is it?
Can't make a word out that you're saying. It's awful, yeah.
Okay. Shall I try and ask the question and we'll see what we can hear?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. Joe, just a couple of questions, actually. One about the current day football situation and another one about the team, the glory days that I was brought up on back in the late 80s and early 90s. I was there when Redfern stuck that penalty in, and I'm sure many of us will remember that. If there was a player you could take from that squad now, with the way football has changed, who do you think would slot in and make an impact in today's type of football from that squad? Obviously, they were all great players, but who do you think would be best suited to the type of football that gets played now?
Can you guys repeat that? Because honestly, all I'm getting is
what Sam said. Sam said he was there when he watched the Redfern penalty on the last day of the season, as everyone was. But he said, which player of that era, of the glory days team, would you take now and put into the modern day football? Who was probably one of the
well, Earl Barrett's been there and done that, and Warhurst has also had transfers to Premier League clubs, so they obviously are proven at that level. Who else would I say? Richard Jobson also, until he got injured, Richard Jobson was majestic, for us. And Dennis Irwin, of course. I mean, we were speaking about this before. I said that I had to take some time thinking it out. But if you ask me to name our best ever side with the players that we've had, I'm sure that our best ever team would be comfortable survivors. If you're thinking that we've then got, players like Irwin back and Warhurst and Barrett and Rick Holden, Andy Ritchie, our best players at that time, I think would all survive quite comfortably in the current Premier League. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's fine. We got you there, Joe.
Lads,
Stu?
Is it crackling?
No.
Crackling.
You sound fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're not quite sure whether there's
sure.
something wrong, but look, we're not the BBC, so we don't really quite know how to fix it. But if it sounds all right for you, I mean, hopefully when it comes across on the live stream, it's coming across okay. So you ask your next question, and we'll just keep going like Oldham in 1989-90. Even though we're limping and we've got a few knocks, and we're running on empty, we'll keep going. So ask your next question, Stu.
Thanks,
Sam. Sorry.
Maybe you can translate if required. In terms of the current footballing situation, obviously the game has changed massively with regards money coming into the game, and the gap between the top and the 2 or 3 leagues below has got a lot broader. What do you think? And you've mentioned recruitment, but what do you think are 2 or 3 of the key areas that smaller clubs should pay the most attention to survive and prosper, to still be around in the next 20 or 30 years?
Did you hear that, Joe? Would you like me to repeat that?
Lads, I couldn't.
With money coming into the game now, and it's completely changed the game for the top 3 clubs or top 4. What should smaller clubs look at? What 2 or 3 things should they concentrate on to ensure that they've got like survival? Obviously.
I've got to say, you're just the same. You're crackling all over. So
but what we'll do, Joe, is we'll just resend you the link in a second, and then if you just come back on, we'll try that and see if it might be just the link that's just been sent. So we'll just remove you from the stream, and then we'll send you the link in 2 seconds, and I'll add a bit of fill. Just give us 2 minutes, and we'll send it back to you. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you.
Okay. Having to remove Joe Royle, that's not good, is it?
You're kicking out Joe Royle.
Kicking him out.
Not good at all.
Yeah. We kind of not quite sure what to do because we don't want to cancel the stream. So we'll try and get him back, and hopefully it'll be a little bit better. What's it like meeting Joe face to face across the...
Well, yeah, if only you could hear me. No. Actually, just on a very quick tech thing, I reckon if you can get him wearing headphones, you'll have much more chance, especially with StreamYard. But anyway, yeah, it's great, isn't it? I mean, a lot of us, for us, certainly me, I'm 40 now. And for me, entering into football, and I started going when I was 7 with my old man. And those were, we were so lucky. I know you guys are a similar age. We were so lucky that we got to experience that. We had positive vibes of watching Oldham. We win more than we lost. The team was exciting. The football was good, and there was such a good feel good factor about it. And obviously that has sustained us over the last decades through the sort of terminal demise. But I think, although I was alluding to the fact that there's obviously those big divides now between the top and the bottom. You and I both saw Oldham probably playing Brentford just a few years ago. So I don't think it's totally insurmountable, but you do feel the longer it goes, the chances of even, getting back to the Championship and being prosperous rely on just big money. We need an oligarch. That might be more difficult now, but you know what I mean? You need someone coming in with just huge amounts of cash. But I was interested with Joe, and that's what I was trying to kind of get, but obviously it's difficult, with his work at Wigan and whatnot. There must be things that we're all aware of that the Latics could obviously do better, and we don't want to talk about the regime, etc. But recruitment is one, and it's getting those things that getting the fans involved, getting the community support, because we know the support's there. What are those key areas, and is it realistic? Or in 20, 30 years, will there just literally be 20 super teams and that's it? Everything else will die off. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big thing that football needs to address, that society needs to address, because football clubs are important, aren't they, to towns, and part of what makes us want to keep supporting is like what happened at Latics under Joe, going from being a peripheral team to being big news, and even if it's just for a season or two. That it's. I think that's what annoys me so much about the Big Six and the Super League and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, he's just going to go and phone Joe. If you're wondering where Joe is, you've just logged in. We're having some technical issues, so he's just going to go and give him a ring and see. Hopefully, we'll get him back on soon. But that's the whole thing that annoys me about the Super League and all this kind of top six Champions League. You've no divine right to be at the top. You've no divine right. The game has to ebb and flow. You look at Bolton, Blackpool, teams like that were huge back in the day. But things change, and that's part of everybody has to have their turn. And what they're trying to do now is monopolize. And it really, really annoys me because it's taking the sporting element out of it. They're trying to eliminate risk like businesses do. And it's not sport, is it?
No, yeah, I think obviously there's big money and they generate big money through how they sell the rights. But when you see players and what they might be earning and what players go for, and that even half £1,000,000 might make the difference between saving a club or not saving a club, and that's a guy's wages for a week. It does seem a bit crazy. Let's try Joe. Let's see if he's good. Yeah. He's back with us.
How are we doing, Joe? Can you hear everybody?
Joe, switch your mic on.
Your microphone might not be on there, Joe. Hello?
Joe? Switch on the mic.
Do you remember that time when we got Joe Royle on our show and we couldn't speak to him? That was good, wasn't it?
I know, yeah. Modern day technology. Goodness me.
Yeah.
Joe, I'm going to give you a call. Give him 1 second.
Give him a quick call there. We'll just remove him from the stream again. Hey, well, listen, when it's live, you take the risk, don't you? You take the chance. That's a good thing about the podcast, I suppose, is that you can make a few. You can't really do much about it, can you? The technology is great, but until it goes wrong,
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, Matt. Sorry. The first question I said to Joe was about which of those players might suit the modern game. I think quality wise, we know that a lot of that squad, could have played and did play at the top level. But I was intrigued to think about what player wise, who he thought might fit the modern game because of how it's changed. And actually, interestingly, I thought Barrett and Warhurst anyway, because I can see them in a three, or certainly Warhurst being a kind of John Stones kind of figure, but also Nick Henry, or putting a shift in midfield. So I don't know, what do you think in terms of that squad and that type of player who might suit the modern playing?
I think there were so many great players in that team that had so many great in those teams that had so many great attributes that a lot of them would. The Ricky Oldham could. He wasn't the quickest, but he could turn people in knots, and he could deliver such a great ball. Andy Ritchie finishes. Finished. They were just all so good, weren't they? You were saying about Paul Warris, he used to burst forward with the ball. It was so exciting to see. All of a sudden, the pace of him, and he just goes sprinting forward. It was magnificent, and yeah, I think we were blessed, to be honest, to see that team play like that. There were so many great games, so many great performances. And so much character. And we were talking before we came on air about how many games they actually played as well. Like just, was it 60 odd games in a season? And it was 2 subs and basically the same team. Played a lot of those games on that hard plastic pitch. Their bodies must have taken a real pounding. So, if those players were pampered, if you like, for want of a better word, or looked after and nurtured in the same way that modern Premier League players are, I'm sure you'd get even more out of them. But it is what it is. I mean, you look back at Joe's era, even look at the pitches that Joe used to play on. Look at the mud and some of those surfaces, and you'd love to see those players from those eras playing on the carpets that we play on now, and see how good they would be, So, well, we're just going
to try Joe again. I think he's getting a bit of technical help now. So,
okay.
Just bear with us, Sam. We do apologise.
No.
Joe, can you hear us, Joe? Right.
We can't hear Joe now.
Interesting. Right. Okay. I'm just going to try and get through to Joe at the other end. I'm going to have to leave you again live, eh? Brilliant. Yeah. 1 second.
At least it's free, eh? At least you're not paying. Hello, Joe. I think maybe you can hear us. Dave's just going to go and try and give you a call. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll bring in Tracy, who's waiting here, and she can come in and join in the conversation with us.
Hiya.
Hiya, Tracy. Tracy, you can just turn your telly off.
Thank you. Turn telly off. Is that better?
Perfect. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad.
Hopefully, you'll get to speak to Joe in a bit.
I've been sassy
Sam. Sam's second best. Here he is.
Hello, Sam.
Didn't manage quite as many games.
Oh, this is tiny.
All right, tiny. Appropriately enough, yeah.
And I've got my partner Brendan on the couch. So.
All right, Brendan. Yeah. So welcome anyway. Welcome along. We're hoping Joe will be coming in. Do you have any favourite memory that you'd like to share with us?
I actually don't, because I'm actually a newbie to Latics. So I've been a Latics widow for 20 years. And I've put up with Latics in the background. And he's been to matches and he's taken my daughter to matches. And it's been like something they've done. But then the pandemic hit and I watched every single game on iFollow. Every single game, and got it. So it's like I'm old, but I'm a newbie. So, but yeah,
well, welcome.
Like, I know that Joe is like an absolute legend. It's like he's hallowed. It's so yeah. It was like
I mean, he's taken us to heights that they're a long time ago, and they're a long way away. It seems, but. Interesting. I think
so many stories.
Yeah, it's interesting that you watched last season. So that was under Harry Kewell,
yes,
and we scored a lot of goals like we did under Joe.
Yeah,
and we shipped a lot of goals, and
we did.
It was a surprising season, wasn't it? Because I'm not surprised that you found it entertaining, because there was a lot of goals, like I said, and competitive games. But unfortunately, we didn't. Did we finish 18th or 19th in the end?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, but it was good to watch, which is why I think when Keith Cole came in, it was like so depressing, and I'm not a huge football person, but even I can tell that to score a goal you have to at least get up one side of the pitch, and it's not rocket science. You have to go forward, but he couldn't even defend either. It's like yeah. I mean, you need, like Brendan's just said to me, you need a striker, but he was entertaining, but I think, did we score the second most amount of goals in the season under Harry, which is ludicrous?
Yeah,
I think we chipped just as many, which is,
exactly. I mean, really, it's verging on criminal to have not gone up when you score that many goals. I mean, we needed, we've covered it many times on the podcast, but we needed defenders desperately, and in the January transfer window we got 3 wingers. So it was poor decision making, really. But it does need to be entertaining, though. I mean, it's vitally important that games of football are enjoyable to watch, because especially if you're, I mean, watching them from home is one thing when it's nice and warm, but going to Boundary Park is, it can be cold and wet, and the football needs to be what keeps you warm, and often it's not.
The last time that I went previous to now was when they were back in the Chaddy end, and I just remember being utterly miserable in there at times because it was so cold and they were losing. But it's really fond memories though, because it's when my father-in-law who's passed, and my partner. But it wasn't enough to get me, But I mean, I've been absolutely freezing in Boundary Park this season. It killed me under Keith Curl, because it was just so. Yeah, and the heart had just completely disappeared from the team. There was no heart at all, and it was so sad to see. But Shez, oh my goodness me, it's amazing what a manager can do. It's
we're just waiting. Sorry to interrupt you there, Tracy. We are just waiting for Joe to give us a call back. I think it's the Wi-Fi down at his end. I think it just keeps on going in and out, and that's what's causing the crackle, I believe. Because I don't think, can you hear a crackle now, Tracy?
No, I'm fine. I've got nothing. No, yeah. I mean, I'm just sat on my I'm just sat on a laptop. I've got no, just using the laptop stuff, and it's fine.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Matt, sorry, I was going to say, it's interesting what that entry point is important, isn't it? Like, Tracy. Okay, we were scoring a lot of goals, and there's a bit of with the partner there supporting, you get the vibe. But if you're thinking about kids going, where is that next generation coming from, or what are they seeing, and what's the match day experience like? And are they, I don't know, because you guys might remember I'm down in Dorset, so I'm a long way away. I try and come when I can, and away games. But what are the club doing locally with schools, getting kids in, doing offers for? I remember, they used to do offers with kids super cheap. There'd be certain weekends when it was, so that's my worry, is where's that next gen coming from? We've got so many other clubs around us, big clubs, kids are doing all the things we know everyone's doing online and everything. And I just think that it feels like there's not been any focus on how we generate more fans to keep that going, basically, because that money coming through the tills, that helps recruitment, the atmos helps the players, it's all interconnected, isn't it? And I just don't feel like that's a positive situation at the moment.
What the thing that I think of there when you're saying that is, I think a lot of credit needs to go to the Atleticos and the guys that organise, that are basically recruiting younger fans and getting them down to the games and creating an atmosphere. Because my nephew was there on against Bradford, and he's only 6, and he's
my daughter's
that there. Many games, but you could see his eyes like joining in with the songs, the atmosphere. That's what gets you at that age, because at 6 years old you can't really concentrate on 90 minutes of football and take it in as a spectacle. You remember the goals, you remember the atmosphere. That's what's important. So I think a lot of credit has to go to them for helping to generate that atmosphere.
My daughter, so she sits in the main stand with us, but she got to the point that she was I think she was almost done with it, but she's now gone into the Rocky Road end with her boyfriend, and she is jumping up and down, and she is screaming, and she is singing, and she is completely bitten again.
It does help having some results and some performances to get behind. Have we got an update on Joe?
Yeah. Joe's back in. We're going to give him another go. I think it's just a bit of the Wi-Fi issue at Joe's end, so we're going to try and add Joe back in now and see what happens. But again, just bear with us. We are live, and God,
yeah,
we'll give it
a go. I'm not giggling, honest.
He's I mean, Joe's supposed to be in the stream now, and he's not. So obviously that's not. And he's frozen. So I think there is an issue there. Even Royle households can experience technical issues. I think it's important to remember. But look, I'm sure that if maybe we ask him back, maybe
we'll just get him live, I think, with us, and he can.
Maybe do that.
Might be easier.
You're probably right, Tracy. So, in terms of Bradford, then, what did you think? Did you go to the game, Tracy?
Yeah, I did. I thought we were really, really good. obviously I don't look at it as from a major footballing brain, because I've not been brought up on football, so I look on it more as an overall sort of spectacle. Do you know what I mean? But from a point of view of somebody who loves Oldham, I thought we played really quite well. One thing I wanted to bring up was the fact that the Bradford captain has had his red card rescinded, and I don't understand how that happened, because we were in the main stand and we were watching it, and it's like I don't understand that at all.
He definitely grabbed him round the throat, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, and it's and I don't, and that annoys me, because that puts over the wrong impression of football to younger fans. You know, that shouldn't be allowed on the pitch at all. That does annoy me.
To be honest, I'm glad he got the red card at the time.
Yeah,
that went in our favour. I'm glad that their goal got disallowed.
Yeah.
Because at the minute, for us, we need things to go for us, and that's what happened, didn't it? I mean,
yeah.
I think it feels very much like we're making our own luck again at the minute by working really hard and being difficult to beat and winding teams up. Like, you know, maybe getting Bradford for whatever reason. I don't know why he snapped, because he clearly did snap.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm sure
probably
at
frustration.
one stage it was 50-50 between the pair of them, and I can't remember the lad's name. He got his yellow card, and that was fair. But then he just flipped his lid, and it's like, but then maybe that's what we need every now and again. We do need to get under their skin. But
definitely. I think one of the things that Oldham has been guilty of, and I don't like this having to say this, because I like the fact that we've always been quite nice, but sometimes being nice is not
we're a pushover.
Yeah, when you're fighting for survival, when you're up against relegation, you can't be too nice. You can't be getting pushed over like that. And like at Harrogate, we just got rolled over, and there wasn't the fight that we needed to have. And now that Shez is, and I think it's reflective of Shez, because Shez is like that. He's an aggressive character. He's like, you know, it's reflective of him, and he's not like overly aggressive or anything, but like, you know, he likes to scrap, he likes to get stuck in, and that's what the team needs to do. Now we're going to try Joe again, because
I think he's been round the house, he's been in the kitchen, he's been in the conservatory, he's been in the garden.
Has he tried the downstairs loo yet?
Joe, can you hear us?
Hey,
go on,
Joe, please say yes.
We've been plagued with technical issues. So if you've been trying to get on, you've been, you know, streaming, watching, expecting to see Joe, we apologise, but there is.
Joe, can you hear us?
I don't think he can.
I don't think
he's staying very still, isn't he? He's got excellent concentration.
He's like our defence.
Could be like that advert, and the cat goes across the back now.
No, I think this is a battle that we've lost, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, we're really sorry, guys, that this has come tonight. But I think we're just struggling with Joe. I don't think he can hear us. Sorry.
That was definitely a hand in the picture then.
Yeah, I don't know if it's. I think it's Wi-Fi where Joe is. I think that's what the issue is.
Yeah.
It seems to be.
It's a learning curve. It's a learning curve for us as well in terms of doing things live, and maybe
never to do it again ever. We're joking.
Some of the checks that maybe we need to put in place when we've got a special guest on. But I mean, what
maybe...
Go on.
Sorry, I was going to say if not, maybe it might be worth. I don't know if he'd be kind enough to give you a bit of time. You could always ask for questions and do just a pre-record with him and put that out. Maybe get people to email you in the questions and do something like that if he's up for it, obviously. But
yeah, well, hopefully after this, Sammy will be.
Yeah, he may never talk to you again. You never know.
Well, you never know.
Listen, I'm just on this. I'm thinking about, you know, where Joe's standing at the club. You know, he is, you know, number one in terms of what he's done for the club, what his stature. Where do we think Shez fits in now in terms of what Shez has achieved at the club, his contribution to the club, his standing amongst the fan base? Sam, what do you think about that?
Well, I think it's very difficult because, you know, we don't know, or we weren't there for some of the experiences of years gone by.
Closer
you
to
know,
the router.
in the 20s, 30s, 40s. Oh, I can hear him.
But Joe, can you hear us? Oh, God.
Hopefully he heard he was the number one. Yes, I think. Oh, I'm kind of tempted to say hello, Joe.
Yeah, go on, I would. Well, you've got a chance. Any joy, Joe?
That is just for anyone streaming. That is Joe Royle. We weren't making it up. Like that is Joe Royle. It's just that we've got
smiling.
We've got technical issues that you know have plagued us, unfortunately.
Have you got us, Joe?
Yeah. It's a very distorted noise. The actual picture's great, so there's no problem there. It's just on the line. There's a problem with the sound because honestly, you might as well be speaking Chinese.
Is that not just the Oldham accent?
Well, thanks. Where are you from?
Bromley in Kent.
All right, very good.
Proper southerner.
They're doing all right, Bromley.
When we were talking before the show, it was all fine.
Yeah.
It's just one of those, unfortunately, Joe. I think it's just one of those things. We're really sorry to all viewers and to yourself, Joe. It's just not seemed to have worked. But I think if we get you back on again and get in the near future, we can get something sorted out. But I'm really sorry. And if you can understand, just say yes. We smile.
Yes. I honestly can't hear a word.
I think what we'll do, Joe, if you can hear us, is we'll thank you very much for your efforts this evening, for coming on, for giving us an hour, regardless of whether it's been a success or not, due to technical issues. And we'll speak to you again.
It was fine before we started.
It was exactly. We had a bit of a time to give it a go, and it was working okay. We had a good conversation, didn't we? But it's been a bit unpredictable ever since, to say the least.
My husband's just told me the Kremlin.
No. Never had
We'll leave it there with you, Joe. We'll contact you. Thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate it. And
okay,
we'll speak to you. Yeah, we'll speak to you. No
problem.
Yeah,
thank you.
You're
Joe.
an absolute legend. Thank you very much indeed. So
thank you.
A real shame that, but there's obviously something there that's. But he is a gentleman, and he's given us an hour there of his time this evening. But it's me and Dave we're gonna walk out and just wail in the corridor,
jump in front of the cars. I think
just gonna cry. Yeah,
Matt,
we'll just cuddle.
Well, we have got some time for some stats, facts, and super attacks.
Well, let's just have the question. Where do you think? Where do you think he shares then? Yeah. In terms of his.
Just a quick one, and then if there's other people in the stream who want to come on and chat about current affairs, whatever, I'll let you guys sort that out. But I think, in my opinion, if we're treating it from Joe onwards, then obviously he's absolutely number two, isn't he, Shez? I think it's difficult to comment on Jimmy and anything older than that for me, because it just seems disconnected. But obviously, it's part of the club's heritage. But yeah, definitely number two behind Joe, and some sort of golden plated statue. I'm bang up for that. I'm giving you all my money for it, no problem. If we stay up.
I think for a lot of certainly the young fans in the Rocky Road end and stuff, I mean, he is up there with Joe probably just at this moment, because he's given them back hope. And there was no, I mean, you saw what the attendances were like in the Rocky Road end. It was, the whole ground, and to give the young uns the hope and wanting to go to your football every Saturday, I think he's probably up there at the moment. Whether he keeps us up or not, he's given us the hope that we might stay up. And that's all you need with your football team, is a bit of hope.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, for me, football is it's all about connection. That's what it's all about.
Don't talk about connection.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is.
Is that an opera singer?
That was my text message. Sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
The ghost of Jimmy Fizzle coming back there. Yeah, potential.
Oh God. Anyway, so it's character building.
I'm definitely gonna. Yeah.
You know what the real sad thing is that once this live stream finishes, it goes straight out onto YouTube, and that other people might actually watch
you've
it.
been framed. We can get 250 quid, can't we? I suppose.
But football for me is all about connection, and I know that Joe has often said about the most important relationship at a football club is between the manager and the chairman. So that connection is really, really important. And these things that just move out, don't they? And the connections between players and supporters is really important. Look at the way that like fans connect with Bahambula and how he feels about that. And so something very special about the connection between the fans of Oldham Athletic and John Sheridan. And it's not something that he's experienced everywhere he's been.
No.
And so it's very, very special for him as well. It's we bring the best out of each other, it seems, don't we? I think we just kind of get each other, don't we? We don't expect more from Shares, if you know what I mean. Our expectations of him are high because of what he's done for us, but I don't think we expect too much of him. We just expect him to be himself and to do, and that must be quite. I think this must be great for him because he's come off the back of a couple of jobs which haven't gone so great for him, and he must have been feeling a bit sort of dejected with it all. And so this must just be like a massive bonus for him as well.
This must be so just to know that you're loved.
Yeah,
he's going to know that.
One important thing is he obviously loves the club, and he can instill that in the players. And I keep putting on Facebook. All I ask of the players, sorry.
It's a theremin. That's what it is. Right,
that they play for the badge. You know, it's like, and they weren't playing for the badge before. Shez has got them playing for the badge, and that's all you want your boys to do on the pitch is to play for the badge, and they're doing it.
Well, they have to play for the badge. They have to play for each other, and they have to play for the manager, and they have to play for themselves as well. And it's instilling that. And somewhere along the line, all of those things seem to have got lost this season. But it's back now, and hopefully, tomorrow, the Colchester game, it's just massive. Like Joe said, if we can get a point, not losing is important, but to beat Colchester tomorrow, especially we've got Carlisle on Saturday.
Yeah.
Tuesday, is it Crawley Tuesday, then Carlisle?
Crawley, Carlisle, yeah.
Massive.
The 3 C's. It's I'm going to Colchester tomorrow, like an absolute
loon.
I don't know what. Yeah, loon. Yeah. I can't wait, if I'm honest with you. I think there's over 500 fans going tomorrow, which is something else, really. Considering, let's say 6 weeks ago, how many do you think we would have got? We would have probably got about 50, wouldn't we? Let's have it right. To me, over the 50 coming from Oldham, and then a couple of hundred maybe in the Oldham Athletic fans in the south.
Yeah.
But the turnaround's been spectacular. I think the bad run that Colchester are on, they were beating Hartlepool the other night. They got beat 2-1.
I think they had a 5-game loss, didn't they? At one stage, I think they've had Carlisle?
One win in the last 5, and that was against Leyton Orient. And Leyton Orient have been on a very bad run. So they're there for the taking tomorrow.
A lot of results recently have gone in our favour as well. We've been really very, very lucky with results, whereas at one stage every single result was going against us, not only our own but every other club, and at the moment everybody seems to be doing our bidding, really, which is quite nice.
If we can get 8 points out of the next 3 games, I'd be 8 points, 7 points.
It would be a miracle getting 8.
It would be a miracle. Just quickly, I've had an hard night, mate. I've had an hard night.
Just quickly, because I know we're approaching the end. Sorry, I was just where do we think the goals are going to come from? Because obviously Luamba's out now for a few weeks, Mike's out for a few weeks. I know DKD's been playing well, hasn't he? But do we think we're going to have it? Yeah, I don't know from the club. I heard a few weeks.
There's rumours going around that 6 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 weeks, but
he'll be playing tomorrow. It's just a ruse.
Yeah. I just think I don't know. Because when I interviewed Chez a couple of weeks ago, he was like, "Yeah, everyone's available," and then a few people were out, and he just does it on purpose just to keep the other managers guessing. I think he's very, very coy to get it to try and just protect his own house. But again, hope. I predicted it last week. and he went and scored. So I think he's got a goal in him again. I think he's been played in the right position, and he played really well on Saturday against Bradford.
Yeah.
So
I think Pierre Gianni's not got one for a while, and tomorrow is made for him. Set piece, seems that Tommy Wright's got him working on set pieces on the training ground, and I think tomorrow I don't think there's going to be many in it tomorrow. Goals, because I think these bottom of the table scraps tend to be a bit nervy. Either that or we're going to hammer them. But I like to remain on the reserve side, and maybe the odd goal will win it. Because I think they'll struggle to score against us tomorrow because we're a lot more organised.
Yeah, defensively we're really tight at the moment.
Yeah,
with 3-0.
Our back four is looking really quite organised. So
I'll take it.
3-0, mate.
I'll take it.
Take it.
Well, listen, the hour's up, and me and Dave are just going to go and run into the middle of Manchester Road, and hopefully a bus will let us, won't we? After this.
Sorry, guys. Again.
Well, listen, thanks very much for coming in and for waiting. Next time we have Joe on, because I'm sure he'll come on again to make up for not that he has to make up for anything, but so we can rerun this again, and everyone can get in and ask the questions to him. You guys obviously can get that opportunity. So thanks very much for coming in and joining in with the show. So we will say good night to you all. Thank you for watching. And where's my thing that I put on at the end? Here it is. There we go. Right. Okay. Thanks very much. And
take care.
Good night.
Keep the faith.
Cheers, lads. See ya.
thank you.
The Latics Football Phone-In is hosted by Matt Dean and David Bradley and is live on YouTube Fridays from 7 till 8. Don't miss the Boundary Park Alert System Oldham Athletics only weekly podcast out Mondays at 7 a.m. in all the usual places. Please subscribe to this channel, youtube.com/the Boundary Park Alert System, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram at OAFC Phone-In and at OAFC Podcast. The music you're hearing is Under Pressure by Anton Vaslov. Thanks for watching and see you next week.